My name is Sarah, and I'm a 52-year-old office worker for a company that manages several chain restaurants. Though my title is listed as a senior advisor, I mostly work from home due to a physical limitation. I was born with a condition that affects my mobility, making it difficult for me to navigate crowded places without a cane. After losing my husband, Daniel, to a sudden illness 3 years ago, life has felt hollow. The condo we once shared now feels vast and empty. Daniel and I had planned to live in that condo for the rest of our lives, but after his death, I gave it to my son, Matthew, and his wife, Lisa. I moved to a smaller place nearby, arranged by my brother, Paul. People often ask if I'm lonely living alone, but the freedom of solitude often outweighs the pain of loneliness. Still, there are days when the silence feels unbearable. My relationship with Lisa has always been tense. Lisa is young, stylish, and came from a wealthy family. She married Matthew in what can only be described as a whirlwind romance after discovering she was pregnant with their son, Ethan. From the beginning, Lisa struggled to adapt to motherhood. She'd often complain about how her life had changed, blaming everyone around her for her unhappiness. "Bring me my smoothie, Sarah," she'd shout from her bedroom, treating me as though I were a servant. Her demands never ended, and her tone was always sharp. Matthew would try to mediate, but he'd always end up siding with Lisa. "Mom, she's under a lot of stress. Can you just let it go?" he'd say. Over time, the dynamic in the house became unbearable. Daniel would often intervene, but his declining health left him too weak to deal with the chaos. The tension came to a breaking point one evening when Lisa yelled at me in front of a visiting beautician. "I don't want my clothes washed with hers. I've told you. Her old smell lingers." It wasn't long after that Daniel collapsed at work. Rushing to the hospital, I frantically tried to contact Matthew. His phone went unanswered. Desperate, I called Lisa. She was at a spa and refused to leave. "I'm busy, Sarah. Figure it out," she said coldly. By the time I reached the hospital, Daniel was gone. I felt as though the ground beneath me had vanished. The days that followed were a blur. After the funeral, I came down with a severe flu, leaving me bedridden. Lisa, concerned about her baby catching something, demanded that I leave the house immediately. Weak and grieving, I packed a small bag and left, collapsing in the hallway of the building. Thankfully, the concierge found me and called for an ambulance. During my recovery, Paul and his family took me in. They were appalled by how Lisa and Matthew had treated me. Paul's wife, Helen, insisted that I never return to that house. But I still needed closure. I decided to visit the condo to collect Daniel's belongings. Helen accompanied me, fearing what we might find. The condo was in complete disarray. Dirty dishes piled up in the kitchen, the garbage disposal was clogged, and the living room was littered with empty takeout containers. Lisa returned home mid-afternoon with friends, visibly intoxicated. She sneered when she saw me. "So, you're back? Good. Clean this mess up," she said, laughing with her friends. Helen's anger boiled over. "How dare you treat Sarah this way after everything she's done for you?" Helen snapped, but Lisa only smirked and dismissed her. That night, I packed all of Daniel's belongings and left. It was the last time I set foot in that condo. Paul helped me move into a new place closer to my parents' home. I adopted a rescue cat, something Daniel and I had always wanted but couldn't have because of his allergies. Life slowly started to stabilize. I returned to work, finding solace in my routine. Months later, I received an unexpected call from Matthew. He wanted me to attend Ethan's milestone birthday celebration at a restaurant. "Mom, it would mean a lot to us if you came," he said, his voice almost pleading. Despite my anger and hurt, I agreed, hoping to mend fences for Ethan's sake. On the day of the celebration, Paul, Helen, and other family members joined me. We arrived at the restaurant only to be met with hostility. Lisa, with her ever-present smirk, informed me there were no seats available for non-family members. "You'll have to stand," she said smugly. Her words stung, but I refused to let her see my pain. Turning to my family, I asked, "Shall we go home?" Without hesitation, they agreed. As we walked out, the sound of breaking dishes and shouting echoed behind us. That evening, Paul and I decided to take legal action. The condo that Lisa and Matthew were living in was still in my name. With the help of a lawyer, I initiated eviction proceedings. The process uncovered shocking revelations. Matthew had been embezzling funds from the family business, a company built by my grandfather. Worse, he had been using company resources to fund an affair with a married colleague. When confronted, he tried to deny everything, but the evidence was overwhelming. Lisa, too, was not innocent. Investigations revealed that Ethan was not Matthew's biological child. DNA tests confirmed that the father was another man Lisa had been involved with during their marriage. The fallout was catastrophic. Lisa's parents, humiliated by the scandal, disowned her. She was left with nothing, forced to fend for herself. Matthew, now jobless and drowning in debt, disappeared. Rumors suggest he was last seen working on a construction site under the watchful eye of debt collectors. As for me, I found a new sense of purpose. I became more involved in my company's operations, visiting restaurants and interacting with staff. The encouragement I received from colleagues helped me regain my confidence. Reflecting on the past, I realized that I had spent too much of my life trying to please others at my own expense. Now I'm focused on building a life that honors Daniel's memory and brings me peace. Not long after, I discovered another layer to the chaos. One evening, while reviewing documents for work, I stumbled upon an old ledger that Daniel had meticulously maintained. Within its pages, I found a note detailing a significant sum of money he had set aside for me, meant to be a safety net in case of emergencies. It felt like a lifeline from beyond the grave. With this newfound financial security, I decided to invest in myself. I began taking courses on restaurant management and operations to better understand the business. As I gained confidence, I started implementing changes that improved efficiency and employee satisfaction. My colleagues, many of whom had doubted my abilities due to my physical limitations, began to see me in a new light. Their respect fueled my determination to excel. Meanwhile, Lisa's life continued to spiral. Unable to maintain her lavish lifestyle, she took on odd jobs, each more demeaning than the last. Her once loyal friends abandoned her, and she became a pariah in the community. Despite everything, I couldn't bring myself to hate her. I pitied her. Matthew, on the other hand, tried to reconnect. He showed up at my office one day, looking disheveled and desperate. "Mom, I've made mistakes. I want to make things right," he said. But his apology felt hollow. Years of betrayal had eroded my trust, and I couldn't let him back into my life so easily. One day, as I was sorting through old photographs, I found a picture of Daniel holding Ethan as a newborn. His face radiated pure joy. It reminded me of the love we had shared and the dreams we had for our family. It was a bittersweet moment, but it reinforced my resolve to live a life that would make him proud. I decided to channel my energy into philanthropy. Using the money Daniel had left me, I started a foundation to support single parents and individuals with physical disabilities. The work was fulfilling, and it allowed me to connect with people who had faced similar struggles. For the first time in years, I felt like I was making a difference. As the foundation grew, so did my confidence. I was invited to speak at conferences and events, sharing my story of resilience and hope. Each time I felt Daniel's presence, as if he were cheering me on from the sidelines. My life, once filled with pain and loss, was now brimming with purpose. Years later, I received a letter from Matthew. He had found steady work and was trying to rebuild his life. He thanked me for everything I had done for him and expressed regret for the pain he had caused. Though I wasn't ready to forgive him completely, I felt a glimmer of hope for our relationship. Looking back, I realized that every hardship I endured shaped me into the person I am today. The struggles with Lisa, the betrayal by Matthew, and the loss of Daniel were all part of a journey that led me to discover my own strength. My story isn't just about surviving, it's about thriving despite the odds. As I sit here, writing these words, my rescue cat purrs softly beside me. The condo is filled with light and warmth, a stark contrast to the emptiness I once felt. Life has a way of surprising us, and I've learned to embrace every twist and turn. For the first time in a long while, I'm not just living,